The blade sang as it left its sheath, and the throne room fell silent. Princess Kalira had seen her husband draw a weapon exactly once before, to cut fruit at their wedding feast. He'd fumbled it then, nearly dropping the ceremonial knife while her court ladies giggled behind their fans. She'd married him anyway, charmed by his gentle smile, and the way he read poetry to her in the gardens. A scholar, her advisors had called him. Harmless. Safe. Now 3 assassins lay dead at his feet, and the blood on his sword was still warm. "Aaron?" Her voice cracked. She didn't recognize the man standing between her and the bodies. His stance was too perfect, too predatory. The blade in his hand wasn't the decorative sidearm nobles wore to court. It was something older, something that had tasted war. He didn't turn. "Stay behind me, Kalira." The doors exploded inward. Royal guards poured through, weapons drawn, and behind them came the queen herself. Kalira's mother moved like winter wind, her robes barely stirring as she crossed the marble floor. Her eyes went to the bodies, then to Aaron, then to the sword. She stopped walking. "Clear the room," the queen said quietly. The guards hesitated. One looked at the dead assassins, then at Aaron, then back to the queen. "Your Majesty, the princess is safe." The queen's gaze never left the sword. "Clear the room." They went. The doors closed with a sound like a coffin sealing. Kalira's hand shook. "Mother, he saved my life. Those men came through the servants' entrance. They had palace uniforms. They knew exactly where. I know what they were." The queen walked closer, each step measured. She wasn't looking at Aaron's face. She was looking at the blade, at the way he held it, at the stance that hadn't shifted even slightly since the guards arrived. "The question is what you are." Aaron finally moved. He reversed his grip and offered the sword, hilt first, in a gesture so formal it looked like prayer. "Your Majesty." The queen took it. Her fingers traced the guard, the crosspiece, the inscription running down the fuller in a script Kalira didn't recognize. When she looked up, something had changed in her face. "Where did you get this?" "It was my father's." "Your father was a merchant." "Yes, Your Majesty. Merchants don't carry blades forged in the Imperial Armory." The queen's voice could have frozen starlight. "Merchants don't move like you just moved. Merchants don't kill 3 trained assassins in under 10 seconds. Kalira stepped forward. "Mother, what are you?" The queen raised one hand, and Kalira went silent. Years of protocol, of training, of being a princess in the most powerful court in the galaxy, all of it condensed into that one gesture. "Your father," the queen said to Aaron, "was not a merchant." "Was he?" "He became one," Aaron said carefully. After what?" The silence stretched. Somewhere in the palace, a bell chimed the hour. Kalira could hear her own heartbeat, could feel the weight of something enormous pressing down on the room. "After the purge," Aaron said finally. "After the Emperor's Guard was disbanded. After the Civil War ended and the survivors were told to forget what they'd been." The queen's knuckles went white around the sword grip. "You're Guard-born. 3rd generation, Your Majesty. And you married my daughter. I love your daughter. That," the queen said softly, "is the only reason you're still breathing." Kalira grabbed her mother's arm. "Someone just tried to kill me. In my own palace, with guards at every door. And you're angry that my husband stopped them?" "I'm angry that I didn't know what he was." The queen turned to her daughter, and, for the first time in Kalira's life, she saw something like fear in her mother's eyes. "Do you understand what this means? The Emperor's Guard doesn't exist anymore. It hasn't existed for 20 years. But the training doesn't fade. The oaths don't break. If he's what I think he is, he's my husband. He's a weapon." The queen looked at Aaron again. Isn't that right? Aaron met her gaze steadily. I was a weapon. Now I'm a father. The room went still. What? Kalira whispered. Aaron's expression finally cracked, just slightly. I was going to tell you tonight. The physician confirmed it this morning. You're carrying our child. Kalira's world tilted. Her hand went to her stomach automatically, and she saw her mother's eyes track the movement. The Queen's face went through 3 expressions in as many seconds: shock, calculation, and something that might have been grief. A grandchild, the Queen said. Half-guard blood. Do you have any idea what the other courts will say when they find out? What they'll do? They won't find out, Aaron said. The physician is discreet. And I'm just a scholar. A simple man who got lucky with a blade. There's nothing simple about you. The Queen reversed the sword again and handed it back. But you're right about one thing. This stays quiet. She turned to the bodies, and her voice went cold. These weren't random assassins. Someone knew exactly when the guard rotation changed. Someone knew which entrance to use. Someone inside this palace wanted my daughter dead. Kalira felt eyes slide down her spine. Mother, go to your chambers. Both of you. Tell no one about the child. And you, she pointed at Aaron. Keep that blade close. Because whoever sent these 3 will send more. The Queen walked to the door, then paused with her hand on the frame. Your father's name. What was it really? Aaron hesitated. Marcus Theron, captain of the 3rd Legion. He died believing his son would never have to draw a blade in anger. He would have been proud of you today, the Queen said quietly, and terrified for what comes next. She left. The doors closed. Kalira stared at the man she'd married, seeing him clearly for the first time. How many men have you killed? She asked. Before today? None. Aaron sheathed his sword with a practiced motion that belied his words. After today? As many as I have to. He offered his hand. After a moment, she took it. Our child, she whispered. What kind of world are we bringing them into? Aaron pulled her close, and she felt the tension in his frame, the coiled readiness that would probably never leave him now. One where their mother is a princess, and their father will burn the galaxy down before he lets anyone hurt them. Outside, thunder rumbled. Or perhaps it was footsteps in the corridor, soldiers mobilizing, the great machine of palace security grinding into motion. Kalira closed her eyes and held on to her husband, her protector, her weapon, her love, and wondered which of them would survive what was coming. The sword at his hip seemed to hum with anticipation. 3 floors down, in a room that officially didn't exist, the Queen stood before a communication array that hadn't been used in decades. Her fingers hesitated over the controls. This is Regent Actual, she said finally. Requesting immediate reactivation of Protocol Nightfall. Authorization code Midnight Sunday. We have a situation. The response came instantly, in a voice like grinding stone. Protocol acknowledged. What is the threat level? The Queen looked at the sword lying on the table before her, a twin to the one her son-in-law carried. She'd taken it from the palace armory, from a vault sealed since the Civil War ended. Critical, she said. And it's already inside the palace. Understood. Shadow Guard is mobilizing. One more thing, the Queen said. My daughter's husband, Marcus Theron's son. Is he in your database? A pause. The sound of data being accessed, old files being opened. Aaron Theron. Flagged as watch only. His father trained him personally before going civilian. Assessment, potentially dangerous, but psychologically unsuited for active service. Recommendation, monitor but do not recruit. Update that assessment, the Queen said. He just killed 3 assassins without breaking a sweat. And he's married to the heir to the throne. And they're having a child." The silence on the other end was longer this time. "Your Majesty," the voice said carefully, "that changes everything." "I know. If the other families find out, they won't. Not from us. But someone tried to kill my daughter today, and they knew too much. We have a traitor in the palace. Maybe more than one. We'll send a team. Send your best. And send them quietly." The queen terminated the connection and picked up the sword. The blade was still sharp after 20 years. Still ready. She'd hoped those days were over. She'd hoped her daughter would never have to know about the shadows that protected the throne, the blood that had been spilled to buy peace, the terrible calculations that kept civilization from tearing itself apart. But hope, she'd learned long ago, was a luxury queens couldn't afford. Kalyra woke to darkness and the sound of breathing that wasn't her own. Not Aaron's breathing. Someone else. She held perfectly still, exactly as her mother had taught her during the childhood drills she'd always thought were paranoid. Her hand slid under her pillow, found the emergency beacon there. She pressed it once. Across the room, a shadow moved. "Don't scream," a voice whispered. Female. Young. "Please, Your Highness. I'm not here to hurt you." Kalyra's thumb hovered over the beacon's second press, the one that would bring guards crashing through the door. "Who are you?" "A friend. Or I'm trying to be." The shadow shifted, and moonlight from the window caught a face. A girl, maybe 16, wearing servant's clothes. "My name is Sarah. I'm one of the kitchen staff. And I know who's trying to kill you." Beside Kalyra, Aaron was already awake. She felt rather than saw the change in his breathing, the subtle shift in the mattress. His hand would be on his sword. The blade he now kept under the bed instead of in its decorative wall mount. "Lights," Kalyra said softly. The room illuminated. Sarah flinched but didn't run. Up close, she looked even younger, with dark circles under her eyes and hands that trembled. "You have 10 seconds, Aaron said quietly, "before I call the guards." "It's Lord Vex," Sarah blurted. "Your mother's master of protocol. He's the one who sent the assassins. And he's planning something worse for tomorrow night, during the Festival of Stars." Kalyra sat up slowly. "That's an extraordinary accusation. Lord Vex has served this court for 30 years. I know. That's how he's gotten away with it." Sarah's words came faster now, tumbling over each other. "My mother was his mistress. She told me things, before she died. About the networks he's built, the people he's compromised, the deals he's made with the outer courts. He's been preparing for this for years." "Why?" Aaron asked. "What does he gain from killing the princess?" "Not killing her. Controlling her." Sarah looked at Kalyra with something like pity. "You're pregnant, aren't you?" "He knows. He has spies everywhere, even in the physician's office. If you die, there's a succession crisis. If you're merely incapacitated, he becomes regent until the child comes of age." Kalyra felt cold all over. The queen won't live through the festival if he has his way. There's going to be an accident with the ceremonial fireworks. A terrible tragedy. And Lord Vex will be devastated, of course, but duty will compel him to take control. Aaron was already moving, pulling on clothes, checking his blade. "We need to tell the queen. Now." "No," Sarah said urgently. "You can't. Lord Vex has people watching her quarters. If you go to her, he'll know I've warned you. He'll move the timeline up. You'll all be dead by morning. Then, what do we do?" Kalyra demanded. Sarah reached into her apron and pulled out a data crystal. "You use this. It's everything my mother recorded before she died. Names, dates, communication logs. Proof of what he's been doing. But you can't just give it to the Queen. You need witnesses. Multiple people who can verify it. Otherwise he'll claim it's fabricated. Aaron took the crystal, held it up to the light. This could be a trap. It could be. Sarah agreed. But those assassins weren't. And tomorrow night won't be either. You don't have to trust me. You just have to decide if you can afford not to. Kalira looked at her husband. What do you think? Aaron was quiet for a long moment. His eyes had gone distant, calculating. This was the guard training, she realized. This was him becoming the weapon his father had forged. We verify it, he said finally. Quietly. If it's real, we move before the festival. If it's fake, we know this was a distraction, and the real threat is somewhere else. He looked at Sarah. Either way, you're not leaving our site until this is over. I don't want to leave, Sarah said. I want to watch him burn. Get in line, Kalira muttered. Aaron moved to the door, pressed his ear against it, then carefully opened it a crack. The corridor outside was empty, but Kalira could hear the distant footsteps of patrol guards. We'll need help, she said. Someone we can trust absolutely. Your mother's personal guard, Aaron suggested. Captain Morven. She's been with the Queen since before you were born. Vex would have gotten to her by now if she were corruptible. Kalira grabbed a robe. But how do we reach her without being seen? Sarah spoke up. The servant passages. They run through the whole palace. Most nobles don't even know they exist. You can guide us? I've used them my whole life. Aaron checked his sword one more time, then nodded. Then we move now. Before anyone realizes she's missing from the kitchens. They slipped into the corridor, Sarah leading the way to what looked like a decorative panel. She pressed a hidden catch, and the wall swung inward, revealing a narrow passage lit by dim maintenance lights. Stay close, she whispered. And stay quiet. Sound carries in here. They descended into the hidden anatomy of the palace, into spaces where servants moved like ghosts and secrets traveled faster than light. Kalira had lived here her entire life and never knew these passages existed. How many other things had she never known? How many threats had moved through these walls while she slept in her chambers, believing herself safe? Her hand went to her stomach again, to the life growing there. A child who would be born into this world of knives and shadows. A child with guard blood in their veins. What kind of mother brought a baby into this? The kind who fought to make sure they'd have a future worth living. They emerged 3 levels down, in a maintenance corridor near the guard barracks. Sarah cracked the door, peered out, then gestured them forward. Captain Morven's quarters were at the end of the hall. Aaron knocked. 3 slow taps, 1 fast, 2 slow. An old signal, he explained, from the days before the purge. The door opened immediately. Captain Morven stood there in full armor despite the late hour, her hand on her sidearm. Your Highness, she said, seeing Kalira. Her eyes widened slightly. And Your Highness's consort. This is irregular. We need to speak with you, Kalira said. Privately. It's about Lord Vex. Morven's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her eyes. Come in. Quickly. The quarters were sparse, military, lined with weapons and commendations. Morven sealed the door behind them and activated a privacy field. Talk, she said. Aaron handed her the data crystal. Before you look at this, you should know, I'm 3rd generation guard. My father was Marcus Theron. Morven went very still. Marcus trained me. Before the purge. Then, you'll understand why I'm taking this seriously. She slotted the crystal into her personal terminal. Her face remained impassive as data scrolled across the screen, but Her knuckles whitened on the edge of her desk. "Mother of stars," she breathed. "This goes back decades." "He's been building this since before the princess was born. Can you verify it's authentic?" Kalira asked. "Give me an hour." Morven's fingers flew across the keyboard. "These communication signatures, I can cross-reference them with palace records. If they match, then we have proof." Aaron finished. "Then we have a war." Morven looked up. "Half the people on this list are high-ranking officials. If we expose this, it tears the court apart. Better torn apart than conquered from within," Kalira said. Morven studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "You sound like your mother." "All right. I'll run the verification. But you three can't stay here. If Vex people see you entering a captain's quarters at midnight, they'll know something's wrong." "Where do we go?" Sarah asked. "The old training halls," Aaron said suddenly. "Below the east wing. They've been sealed since the purge, but the structure's still sound." Morven looked at him sharply. "How do you know about those?" "My father described them. He said if the palace ever fell, that's where the guard would make their final stand. Multiple exits, defensible positions, and, most importantly, old surveillance systems that haven't been updated to the current network. Meaning Vex can't see us there," Kalira said. "Exactly." Morven was already moving, pulling weapons from hidden compartments. She handed Aaron a plasma pistol and Kalira a compact shield generator. "You know how to use these, Your Highness?" "My mother insisted I train." Kalira activated the generator, felt it hum to life. "I never understood why until today." She knew. She always knew. Morven grabbed her command tablet. "I'll need 3 hours for full verification. Can you stay hidden that long?" "We'll manage," Aaron said. They left through a different passage, Sarah once again leading the way. The servants' corridors seemed to go on forever, branching and splitting like veins through flesh. They passed other servants, late-night workers, cleaners, maintenance crews, but no one questioned them. In these spaces, apparently, invisibility was the currency of survival. The training halls were exactly where Aaron had said they'd be, behind a door marked "Structural Maintenance Condemned." Inside, the air smelled of dust and old sweat. Training dummies stood in silent ranks, their surfaces scarred from decades of practiced blades. "My father spent 10 years of his life in rooms like this," Aaron said softly. "Learning to be perfect. Learning to protect people who didn't even know he existed." Kalira touched a practice dummy, felt the worn material. "Do you wish he'd taught you? Officially, I mean. Every day since those assassins came through the door." He drew his sword, began moving through forms. Slow at first, then faster. "He wanted me to have a normal life. He wanted me to choose my own path. And instead you married into the most dangerous family in the galaxy. I married you. The danger was just a bonus." Despite everything, Kalira laughed. It came out slightly hysterical, but it was real. Sarah watched them from across the room, her young face ancient with knowledge no child should carry. "You really love each other," she said. "I wasn't sure that was real. In royal marriages, I mean." "It's real," Kalira said. "Even when it's complicated. My mother loved Lord Vex once. Or she thought she did." Sarah's voice went hollow. "He used that love like a weapon." By the time she realized what he was, she was already trapped. "We'll make sure he pays for that," Kalira promised. "I don't want revenge. I want her to mean something. I want her death to count. It will." They settled in to wait. Aaron continued his practice, moving through forms that grew increasingly complex. Kalira recognized some of them from historical videos, demonstrations of the Emperor's Guard at their peak. Watching him now was like watching poetry written in violence. An hour passed. Then, too. Kalira dozed, her head on Aaron's shoulder, one hand on her stomach. She dreamed of a child with her eyes and Aaron's quiet strength, growing up in a palace finally purged of shadows. She woke to Aaron's hand on her shoulder and Captain Morven standing in the doorway. "It's verified," Morven said. "All of it. And it's worse than we thought." She activated a holographic display. Names appeared, connecting in a web that made Kalira feel sick. "Lord Vex doesn't just want to control you," Morven said. "He wants to dissolve the monarchy entirely. Replace it with a council system where he controls the majority vote. The assassination attempts, the festival attack, they're all designed to destabilize the current system and make his alternatives seem reasonable." "A coup," Aaron said flatly. "A surgical one. By the time anyone realizes what's happened, he'll already be in power. Then we stop him." Kalira stood, felt the shield generator's weight at her hip. "We take this to my mother. We arrest him tonight." "We can't." "What?" Morven's face was grim. "While I was verifying the data, I ran a security check on the Queen's quarters. Standard protocol. Kalira, your mother is gone." The world tilted. "That's impossible. She never leaves the palace without, I know. But her chambers are empty. Her personal guard is unconscious, drugged, by the looks of it. And her emergency beacon has been disabled. Vex has her," Sarah whispered. "Or someone working for him." Morven pulled up another screen. "I've been tracking unusual movements in the palace over the last hour. There's a cargo transport that left the royal hangar 20 minutes ago. Destination logged as routine supply run, but the authorization code is fake." Aaron was already moving. "Can you track it?" "I can try." "But if they're using military-grade countermeasures, try anyway." He turned to Kalira. "We need to assume the worst. Your mother is either a hostage or already dead. Either way, Vex will make his move at the festival. We have." He checked his chrono. 16 hours. 16 hours to save the Queen and stop a coup, Kalira said. "How?" "The same way my father would have. We become the thing Vex isn't prepared for." "Which is?" Aaron's smile was sharp as his blade. "Aggressive." Morven was already pulling up tactical displays. "If we're doing this, we need allies. People we can absolutely trust." "How many members of the Guard were there?" Kalira asked. "Before the purge?" 5,000. Most are dead or scattered. But some? Morven hesitated. Some stayed close. Changed their names, took civilian jobs, but never forgot what they were. "Can you find them?" "In 16 hours? Maybe a dozen. Maybe less." "Then find them," Aaron said. "Tell them Marcus Theron's son is calling in old debts. Tell them the oath they swore still means something." "And what will you be doing?" "Going to the festival. Publicly. Loudly. Letting Vex think his plan is working." Aaron looked at Kalira. "You'll need to make an appearance. Smile for the crowds. Pretend everything is normal. While you do what? Hunt. There are a dozen places in the palace where Vex could be holding your mother. I'll check them all." "Alone?" "I'm guard trained. This is what I was born to do." "You were born to be a scholar," Kalira said fiercely. "You were born to read poetry and watch stars and grow old with me. I was born to be both." He pulled her close. "And right now, the galaxy needs the part of me my father tried to bury." Captain Morven cleared her throat. "If we're doing this, we do it smart. Sarah, you know the palace better than anyone. You'll guide Aaron. I'll rally what's left of the guard. And, Your Highness, I'll be bait." Kalira finished. I'll make sure Vex's attention stays on me. It's dangerous. Everything about this is dangerous. She activated her shield generator, felt it form a shimmer around her skin. But I'm done being protected. I'm done being the fragile princess who needs saving. Aaron touched her face. You were never fragile. I've known that since the first day we met. Then, let's remind the galaxy what we're both capable of. They moved out into the pre-dawn darkness, splitting up according to the plan. Morven disappeared into the servant passages to contact her network. Sarah and Aaron headed for the lower levels toward the old dungeons and forgotten chambers where a queen might be held. And Kalira returned to her quarters through the main corridors, making sure the morning servants saw her, making sure word would spread that the princess was alive and, well. In her chambers, she dressed in formal robes and sent word to her ladies-in-waiting that she would attend the festival preparations. Let Vex see her moving through the palace. Let him think his plans had failed, that he needed to accelerate. Let him make mistakes. She touched her stomach one more time, spoke to the life growing there. Your father is hunting monsters. Your grandmother is a prisoner. And your mother is about to start a war. Welcome to the family. Then she stepped out into the corridor and began to play the most dangerous role of her life, a princess who suspected nothing. The festival preparations were chaos given form. Servants hung decorations from every surface, musicians tuned instruments in the great hall, and cooks prepared enough food to feed half the planet. Kalira walked through it all with a serene smile, greeting officials and courtiers while her mind raced. Lord Vex found her near the ceremonial fountains. Your Highness, he said, bowing precisely. What a delight to see you this morning. I trust you slept well? He was perfect, as always. Silver-haired, distinguished, with eyes that seemed kind until you looked closely. Kalira had known him her entire life. Had trusted him. Wonderfully, Lord Vex. She kept her voice light. Though I had the strangest dream. Something about fireworks. Did his smile flicker? Just for a moment? How providential. We're testing the display this afternoon. I do hope it won't disappoint. I'm sure it will be explosive. Indeed. He gestured toward the throne room. Has your Highness heard from the Queen this morning? She was supposed to approve the final arrangements, but I haven't been able to locate her. My mother keeps her own schedule, Kalira said smoothly. I'm sure she'll appear when she's ready. Of course, of course. But his eyes had gone calculating. And your husband? I haven't seen him about. Aaron is researching in the archives. You know how he is with his books. Quite. A scholarly man. So gentle. Vex's tone made it sound like an insult. Though I did hear the most extraordinary rumor yesterday. Something about an altercation in your chambers? Kalira's blood went cold, but she kept her expression pleasant. Palace gossip. You know how servants talk. Indeed I do, your Highness. Indeed I do. He bowed again and walked away, but Kalira could feel his suspicion like a weight between her shoulders. He knew something was wrong. The question was whether he knew how much. She continued her rounds, playing the part, while in the depths of the palace Aaron and Sarah searched. The old dungeon smelled of damp stone and forgotten screams. Aaron moved through them with his sword drawn, Sarah at his back with a maintenance light. This place gives me nightmares, she whispered. It should. My father said they used these cells during the Civil War. Interrogations. Torture. Things that history books don't mention. They found the first body in the third cell block. A guard throat cut, still warm. We're close, Aaron said. They found the Queen in a chamber at the end of the corridor, chained to a wall with suppressor cuffs that blocked her neural implants. She was conscious, blood running from a cut above her eye, but alive. Took you long enough? She said when she saw them. Aaron was already working on the cuffs. Are you hurt? Nothing fatal. They wanted me alive for the show. She looked at Sarah. Who's this? The girl who warned us, Aaron said. The cuffs clicked open, and the queen sagged forward. He caught her, helped her stand. Vex? Still in the palace. Still planning his festival surprise. The queen's smile was sharp as broken glass. Then, let's give him a surprise of our own. They made it 3 corridors before the ambush hit. Armed guards poured from side passages, weapons drawn. Not palace security, mercenaries, by the look of them, wearing nondescript armor. Go, the queen said. Get Kalira out of the palace. I'll handle. No, Aaron said. His sword was already singing. We handle this together. He moved like water, like wind, like everything his father had tried to keep buried. The first mercenary went down with a cut throat. The second lost his weapon hand. The third managed to get a shot off, but the queen's shield generator caught it. You've been practicing, she noted. Every day since I was 5. They fought their way back toward the main palace, leaving bodies in their wake. Sarah stayed between them, remarkably calm for someone who'd just seen multiple people die. Are you okay? The queen asked her during a brief pause. I've seen worse, Sarah said quietly. My mother died in my arms. This is just cleanup. They emerged into a service corridor, just as Captain Morven's voice crackled through Aaron's calm. We have a problem. Vex has moved the timeline up. The fireworks display is happening now. It's not evening yet, the queen said. He's claiming it's a surprise rehearsal for the princess. She's in the courtyard with half the court watching. If those fireworks go off, Aaron was already running. The courtyard was packed with nobles in their finest, all watching as technicians prepared the ceremonial display. Kalira stood at the center, smiling and waving, while above her 1,000 fireworks waited to transform into shrapnel. Aaron burst through the crowd, sword drawn. People screamed. Guards moved to intercept him. Kalira, he shouted. Get down. She saw him, saw the blade, understood instantly. She activated her shield generator and dropped just as the fireworks ignited, not in the sky, but in the launchers themselves. The explosion was massive, a wall of fire, and metal that would have shredded everyone in the courtyard. Would have, if Aaron hadn't reached the control panel first. His sword came down on the main cable, severing it. The fireworks sputtered, misfired, went silent. A few stray sparks danced into the sky, but the deathly cascade never came. The courtyard went silent. Lord Vex stood at the edge of the crowd, his face a mask of shock. Behind him, Captain Morven and a dozen others in civilian clothes had their weapons drawn. Lord Vex, the queen said, stepping forward. Blood still ran down her face. I believe we need to discuss your retirement. Vex's hand went to his sidearm. This isn't over. You can't prove. We can prove everything. Kalira stood, her shield generator still glowing. We have your communications, your network, your plans, and we have witnesses. Around the courtyard, more of Morven's people appeared. Former guards, all of them, weapons drawn and faces grim. Vex looked at them, looked at Aaron's bloody sword, looked at the queen's cold smile. His hand fell away from his weapon. I was trying to save us, he said quietly. The monarchy is failing. The outer systems are restless. You needed power, the queen said. And you were willing to murder my daughter to get it. Your daughter is a child playing at politics. My daughter, the queen said, is standing right here. And she's braver than you'll ever be. Guards moved in and took Vex into custody. He didn't resist, just stared at Kalira with something like confusion. "You were supposed to be safe," he said. "Protected. That was the whole point." "I don't want to be safe," Kalira said. "I want to be free." They took him away. The crowd remained silent, processing what they'd just witnessed. Then, slowly, someone began to clap. Then another. Within moments, the entire courtyard was applauding. Kalira walked to Aaron, took his hand. "Are you hurt?" "No." "You?" "No." She looked at the sword, at the blood on the blade. "You really are what you said. A weapon and a father. I'm trying to be more of the second than the first. You're doing fine." The queen joined them, and, for a long moment, the three of them stood together while the palace erupted into chaos around them. "This isn't over," the queen said quietly. "Vex had allies. They'll try again." "Let them," Aaron said. "I'm not going anywhere." 3 months later, Kalira stood in the palace gardens with her hand on her swollen stomach and watched Aaron practice his forms. He moved like liquid grace now, no longer hiding what he was. The court had adapted mostly. Some nobles still whispered about guard blood and old loyalties, but they did it quietly. Captain Morven had been promoted to commander of palace security. Sarah had been given a position as Kalira's personal assistant. And the 12 former guards who'd answered Aaron's call had been reinstated, forming the core of a new protective force. The queen watched from a balcony above, her face unreadable. "Do you think she's angry?" Sarah asked. She'd grown confident in her role, no longer the frightened girl from the kitchen. "I think she's proud," Kalira said. "And terrified, which is pretty much parenthood in a nutshell." Aaron finished his practice and sheathed his sword. He'd started wearing it openly now, much to the scandal of certain courtiers. He joined Kalira, pressed a hand to her stomach. "How's our little warrior?" "Active. I think they're practicing kicks." "Guard-born," he said with a smile. "Princess-born," Kalira corrected. "With all that entails." A messenger approached, bowed deeply. "Your Highness, the outer courts have sent their representatives for the treaty negotiations. They're waiting in the formal hall." Kalira sighed. "Politics never sleeps, does it?" "Neither do we," Aaron said. "Not anymore." They walked together toward the palace, toward whatever challenges waited, toward the future they were building one careful step at a time. Behind them, the garden fountain sang its eternal song, and, above them, stars began to appear in the evening sky. In her chambers, the queen unsealed a private communication. The message was brief. "Vex allies neutralized. Outer courts subdued. Long-term stability estimated at 73%. She deleted it, poured herself a drink, and looked out at the galaxy she'd fought her whole life to protect. Her daughter was safe. Her grandchild would be born into a court stronger than before. And the guard, in whatever new form they took, would endure. It was enough. For now, it was enough. In the formal hall, Kalira took her seat beside the throne and prepared to negotiate peace with people who'd wanted her dead weeks ago. Aaron stood at her shoulder, his sword a silent promise. And, in the kitchens, servants who'd known Sarah's mother whispered prayers of thanks that her sacrifice had meant something after all. The galaxy turned. Stars burned. And in the heart of the greatest court in known space, a family prepared for whatever came next. Together.